Hi guys, it's Tori, and as you can see, I'm back at my parents' house to film another video. You'll probably hear walking around upstairs because that's just the way it rolls over here. But I am filming here today because I'm doing a very special Books to Books TBR. What I'm going to do is I'm still picking 8 books. However, I have organized my books. I'm kind of rigging this a little bit to fit into a couple of readathons I'm going to be taking part in over the next couple of months, so both of which are classics based. So you're going to see a lot of classics. The first readathon I'm participating in May is going to be the 1900 to 1950 readathon hosted by Katie from Books and Things, wherein we read books published between those years. And then the other readathon I actually can't tell you much about yet because I'm actually hosting it with Jennifer Brooks, and we'll be sending out announcements next week for that, so keep eyes open for that. So I'm not going to tell you specifically what that is going to be, what that's going to look like until then, but you might get a little hint in this video. But anyway, so I've rigged it that way. Plus, I am actually having my family pick my TBR this month. So instead of green cards, I usually get a green card with a word and I have to match books to that word. This time we're just going to have my family members pick based on the 8 books that I pick out of my Books to Books decks. I do have 7 members of my family, including myself, so yes, one of these books will be picked by me. But yes, since I have 7 people in my family, I thought it would be cool, since I usually do 7 rounds in this, to have them pick my TBR. So we're going to do that right now. Starting off with my brother Sam. Now Sam is actually away from home at the moment. He's currently serving a religious mission on the other side of the country, so he can't be here to do this, but I sent him pictures the other day of books that I picked out, and I'll show you those now, and he ended up picking one. So first of all, as you can see, you probably can't read the titles on these, and I apologize, but I'll point out what they are. So, The Professor by Charlotte Bronte was one, The Well-Beloved by Thomas Hardy was one, and then the Oresteia by Aeschylus. Technically, the card I got for this was Greek or Roman play, so the one I chose is the trilogy of plays, the Oresteia by Aeschylus. Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, which is great because I'm actually buddy reading this in May, so I hope this ends up getting picked just to make my life easier. Then I got a card that was Do What You Want, and I ended up picking Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy because I'd really like to get to this in the next couple of months. Then we have Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery and Summer by Edith Wharton. So, oh, and the 8th one, you might be saying, there's only 7. The 8th one is the Henry VI plays by Shakespeare, and I forgot my big collection of Shakespeare books at my apartment. So that's kind of Imagine right there. Ish for Henry VI plays. So the book that my brother ended up choosing when I sent him pictures was the Oresteia by Aeschylus. So this will be the first book that will appear on my May-June TBR, which is super exciting. I don't know much about these, to be honest. I haven't really done much research on them, but I'm hoping I'll enjoy them. I've really wanted to get into more Greek and Roman plays, so I feel like this will be beneficial to me in that arena. Okay, so before I call in my next family member, I'm actually going to switch out 2 of these. Usually I only allow myself to change out 1 each round. However, there are 2 on this list that I know I am not going to be reading in the next couple months, so even if they're picked, I already know beforehand that I will not get to it. So I'm just not going to do that to myself or to my family member who might pick these. So those 2 books are The Professor and The Well-Beloved. These 2 I have plans to read probably towards the end of the year, so I would rather not pick them up anytime soon. So I'm going to take them both down and I'm going to replace them. I'm actually not going to replace them. Those are for goals for 2021 and I have a separate pile for those. And I usually would replace with a book from the same pile. However, I do have plans for my goals these next couple of months that I don't really want to change because of the readathons I'm participating in. So we're just going to replace them with one from this, a couple from this pile. And my next choice is Shakespeare. So we have a lot of Shakespeare going on. We have, remember, Henry VI plays, and now Coriolanus is the one I'm going to put up now. In fact, I think because I picked this, and I'd rather honestly read Coriolanus than the Henry VI plays, I'm going to also swatch about Henry VI so my family doesn't have to imagine too much. So Coriolanus is now, and now I'm gonna have to pick 2 more. Next we have A Lady of Quality by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I will show you this cover in just a moment. And then we have The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. So a couple Edith Whartons up there, which will be good. I'm going to grab those books now. Okay, so like I said, I have A Lady of Quality by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is a historical fiction, as it was even when she wrote it back in the early 1900s. Set during the 1400s, I want to say. Oh, excuse me, the 17th century. So 1690 is when it's set. And then, of course, we have The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. We also have Coriolanus, and I just realized because I chose the Oresteia, I need to choose one more. So we're choosing one more. Oh, and we have Their Eyes Were Watching God. You can't see that. There we go. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And there is my copy of that, which we'll put right up here. Awesome. So I'm going to go grab my brother and he's going to pick the next round. Okay. Here's Jace. You can't really see me because we only have so much space here. But Jace, these are the choices you have. The eighth, you'll see 7 here, but the 8th one is a Shakespeare play. Just imagine that there because I don't have my book of it, okay? So which one should I read?
Do The House of Mirth.
The House of Mirth. Jace's pick for me. Why did you pick this?
Because it's got a dude on the cover.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good choice. All right, so he chose The House of Mirth, and I honestly don't know much about what this is about, but I know I love Edith Wharton. I recently read The Age of Innocence by her and loved it, so I'm excited to pick this up. I honestly was really hoping I could get an Edith Wharton on my list for May, so this is perfect. So before I pick another one, I'm actually going to remove summer from this list because I already have an Edith Wharton, so we're going to narrow that down a little bit and try out a variety of authors. Okay, so picking 2 more, one to replace The House of Mirth and the other to replace summer. We have Of Human Bondage by, I can't remember who, but I'll show you in a second, and All Quiet on the Western Front. So those are 2 books actually that are a little longer, but will work very well once again for the 1900 to 1950 readathon. Editing this is going to be a nightmare, but we have here Of Human Bondage by W. Somerset Maugham. I do not know how to pronounce that, but anyway, we have that one. And then we have All Quiet on the Western Front by Erich Maria Remarque. Once again, pronunciation not my strong suit, but there's that. Okay, here's my sister, Claire, and she's going to pick from these. So Claire, just so you know, you have these 4 and then these 3, and then there's an imaginary Shakespeare Coriolanus right there that I don't have with me. So okay. Pick whatever looks good to you. That one?
I've read this.
You have?
Yeah. Well, on Spark Notes.
Oh.
I don't remember what it's about. Though.
Okay. But you recognized it.
Yes.
So she chose Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Great choice. Thanks.
Yep.
You're free to go.
Thanks.
As you can tell, my siblings are so excited to do this. So anyway, my sister chose Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, which apparently she's read on Spark Notes before. She's read summaries of. And I know that this is about a girl who, I think she ends up in several different marriages and just kind of describes her experiences throughout those. She's a Black woman as well, so it really talks about racism and sexism in America, especially in the early 1900s, which I am always interested in reading more about. So very excited about that one. So I actually think I'm going to leave all of these up here just because there's none of them that I really don't want to read, and we're going to pick another one. Oh, The Lays of Marie de France, which I'm actually excited got picked because I do really want to read that. Okay, so here we have The Lays of Marie de France, translated with an introduction and notes by Robert Hanning and Joan Ferrante. So there's that. And we're going to move on to my parents, so I'm going to go get my dad next.
Okay, so right here?
Yeah, well, turn around so I can show who you are.
Oh, there I am.
Okay.
Here's my dad.
Hey.
So, father behind you. You can turn around
now.
now.
I can turn around.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have these 7, and then imagine a imaginary Coriolanus by William Shakespeare right there as an 8th choice.
I'm gonna go with All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay. Why, can I ask you before you go, why did you pick that one?
Well, partly because it's a book that I read part of and I always wanted to finish it and I never did.
Okay. One of those, one of your long list of books you started and never finished.
So you can finish it on behalf of yourself and me.
Sounds good. Well,
That's
thank you.
Okay, yes.
All right, so he picked, of course, the World War I book. That is very my father. Plus, apparently he started this. He loves to read, but he doesn't always have time. And then he gets all these books that he wants to read so bad, so he just starts all of them and then never finishes. So I guess this is one on that list. I know my mom also read this and really liked it. This is one she's recommended to me before, so I'm excited to read this. I really don't know much about this. I think it is told from the German side of the war, which will be very interesting. And yeah, I'm very intrigued. I feel like this will be very different from the other 2 that have been picked for my May TBR, so this will be really good. Once again, not going to change any of these. We're just going to keep them up here, and I'm going to just replace the one with the Canterbury Tales. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so we have the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer right here. This is one I've read a few of the tales. So I think if I were to read this, I would just read the tales I haven't already read, especially since it's so long. I feel like I would like a little bit less to read, if that makes sense. This is also, I should mention, this is a version told in a prose. It's a prose translation. I do like poetry, but for these specifically, I wanted to get the stories first and then I could fall in love with the poetry. There we have that. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, I think I'm going to switch out Coriolanus just because I don't have a physical representation of it. So I don't think anyone's going to pick it. Even though I really want to get to it, I just don't think it's going to work for this particular game. So we're going to pick one more that will replace that. Okay, and then we have A Room with a View by EM Forster. I'll grab that really quick. Okay, so here we have my copy of A Room with a View. And now we're going to go see if my mom is in a position to do this. She was kind of laying down to rest for her Sunday rest. So I feel a little bad interrupting her, but if she's willing to, she'll come down. If not, I may have to do this later. And yeah, so anyway, I'll go grab her if she's willing to. Okay, so my mom was not sleeping, so I could get her. And she's going to pick, so it's these 8 that are facing forward that I can pick from.
I'm gonna say A Room with a View is kind of a fun one.
Okay, sounds good. Can you tell the people why you decided to go with A Room with a View?
Because it's, I think, the only one I've read.
Okay, it's the only one she's read.
Of these.
Love that. Okay.
And I liked it. Actually, I've read Great Expectations too, but
okay.
I like it. It's kind of a fun,
I'm excited about that.
a fun
Thank
one.
you.
You're welcome.
All right, so A Room with a View, which I'm so excited about. I literally, in my mind, was like, I just really want an Edith Wharton. I would really like a Forster. Actually, the third one I really wanted was a Virginia Woolf, but obviously she hasn't even been an option yet. So this is really good. I'm really excited about my May TBR for the 1900 to 1950 readathon. I hope I can get to all of these in that month, on top of Great Expectations, which I definitely have to read for a buddy read. I think it's possible, especially because I'll be out of school by then, but you never know. So we'll see, but I'm very excited for this. Okay, so up next, we're going to do my pick because the only one left is my brother Noah. He's not currently here right now. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my pick and then I'm going to stop this clip. I'll show you what he has as options. And then later when I'm back at my apartment, I'll film a final clip where I'll just explain what he picked out of the options that you'll see. And then we'll wrap this all up. So anyway, up next for my pick, we're going to replace A Room with a View with The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf. So there we go, there's my Virginia Woolf. I was kind of wondering because I was running very low on my pile of options, so I felt like it was going to come up soon. So here we have The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf. and I'm very excited to pick this one up. So for my option, I really want to pick Virginia Woolf, like I mentioned, but I already have so many for my May TBR, and there's a couple books, specifically Anna Karenina and Great Expectations, that I am planning to read anyway. So I think I'm going to pick Anna Karenina. Oh no. Just dropped Dickens. But anyway, I'm going to do Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Full disclosure, I'm probably not going to finish this by the end of June. I want to really try. In fact, it's still only the 15th? It's the 18th, not the 15th. The 18th of April right now, and I think I'm actually going to start this right now because I just finished my previous audiobook, so I think I'm going to start the audiobook for this anyway. And since it's so big, I just want it to just be on my TBR so I don't have to worry as much about it. So yeah, we're going to have this on my TBR. And then for Noah, I think I wasn't going to do this, but I think I am going to switch out the Canterbury Tales for a new one. So I'll have to replace Anna Karenina and the Canterbury Tales. I'll show you the options, go over the options one more time, and then I will skip to Noah picking his. He might not be actually on camera. I might just tell you what he picked just because I don't know how I'm going to swing it because I'm not sure when he'll be here, and he's a busy boy and he's one that he doesn't spend much time with the fam bam, so I don't see him very much. But anyway, let me switch out some of these. Okay, so I actually reached the end of my pile besides the ones I already switched out. So I have one left, and then there's a book I actually guess I don't have a card for, which I should have a card for, that I'm just going, that works for these readathons. So I'm just going to put that in even though I don't have the card for whatever reason. But first of all, we have The Grapes of Wrath. So here is my copy by John Steinbeck. And so we're going to put this on. I really don't want this though, so I kind of hope he doesn't pick it because I don't think I'll read it. But it's the last book on the pile. That's not one that you've already seen, so we're going to swap that out. And then the other book I have that I realize I don't have a card for, and since I ran out of cards anyway, I'm just going to put on as my other option, is The History of the Kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth. This is a nonfiction work from medieval times, and I believe it's the first written down reference to Merlin. So kind of fun and not super long. It's kind of an awkward printing of it, but there are some copies of this book that are very expensive, and this is one of the less expensive ones, so it's the one I have. Anyway, so this is going to be the final option for my brother Noah. Okay, so my brother's options when I get to the next clip include History of the Kings of Britain, Of Human Bondage, The Lays of Marie de France, The Voyage Out by Virginia Woolf, A Lady of Quality by Frances Hodgson Burnett, Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, and Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. So I will let you know in the next clip what he chose, and then we'll wrap all this up. If he does not choose Great Expectations, I will be reading that still as well, so I'll probably mention that there as well. But anyway, I will see you in a moment for you in probably a few hours for me. Okay, so it is actually the next day. I wasn't able to complete this video yesterday because I ended up having a big family dinner, but I was able to get a second to have my brother choose from the options that you saw in the last clip, and he ended up picking History of the Kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth. And I'm really excited that he picked this one. This is one I really wanted to get to in the next couple of months, and it will be a great read, hopefully. I'm really not sure what to expect, but I just think it will be fun for my own background knowledge on the King Arthur legends to be able to read this. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So there's that. Like I mentioned, I am still reading Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, which I'm so excited about. I have not been able to read very much Dickens at all, so I'm excited to finally get a little bit more into his works. So yes, we'll be reading this. And then before wrapping up this TBR, I wanted to show off these and name specifically what prompts I'm going to be matching these 4 books to for the 1900s to 1950s readathon hosted by Katie from Books and Things in May. and luckily all of them work pretty well for the prompts. So the first prompt is to read something that was published in your own country, which is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. The second prompt is to read something that was published outside of your home country, and I'm going to be reading A Room with a View by EM Forster, which was published in the UK. Next is to read a genre fiction book, and I was originally, when I heard these prompts, considering doing a fantasy, but that didn't come up. So I decided to have Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston be my genre pick, and I'm considering it a literary fiction work. If you feel like it's something else, feel free to tell me. I probably will still count it as literary fiction and read this. It also deals with themes of marriage, which is just a theme I'm really interested in. So I'm kind of going off that. That one's a little bit more of a stretch, but I'm still going to utilize it. The fourth prompt is to read something that's has something to do with one of the world wars, so I will be reading All Quiet on the Western Front by Erich Maria Remarque, which is set during the First World War, and I'm very excited to pick this up. I've heard great things about it. And then the fifth and final prompt that Katie from Books and Things mentioned was to read something that wasn't a novel, so either a play or poetry or something. I am going to be reading a few poems by Thomas Hardy written in 1912 and 1913, as those are seen to be some of his best poetry, and most of them are actually about his first wife Emma, who passed away, so I'm very interested to read that. And yeah, so that's my plan for May. The rest of these books will Great Expectations will also be read in May because I'm buddy reading it then, as well as at least a portion of Anna Karenina. We'll be able to get through a portion of it hopefully in May. I'm not sure though with all these other books how it's going to go, but I am going to try to get to some of this. And then the other couple we will discuss a little more in depth probably this next week, but anyway, that is my TBR. Let's actually show you all the books. Okay, so here is my TBR for May and June. So excited about this. So happy to finally do this special Books to Books TBR. I've been wanting to do it for a while and I think it went pretty well. I'm really looking forward to it, like I said. Also, the next Books to Books TBR, I'm thinking about changing it around a little bit. That will come out towards the end of June, so stay tuned for that. You'll probably forget by then, but anyway, yeah, we're going to end this video here, so thank you so much for watching. If you've read any of these books, please let me know down below, as I would love to know. If you're participating in Katie's readathon, the 1900 to 1950 readathon, please let me know that as well, as I would love to hear. And yes, again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!